monster of nightmares, a thing so vile and malevolent that even the bravest tremble at its name, a twisted ghost. It is said to feed on the fear of children, prowling the darkness like a predator waiting for its prey. El Cucuy comes in many forms, sometimes a shadowy figure with glowing eyes, sometimes a creature cloaked in tattered rags, its face hidden in darkness, but always it is the same, relentless, cruel, and hungry. The legend tells of children who refuse to sleep, who stray too far from the safety of their homes. These are the ones El Cucuy seeks, drawn by their defiance, their cries for help. Parents warn their children with the same chilling phrase: if you're not good, El Cucuy will come for you. And it is no empty threat. Those who disobey, who wander too far into the night, often vanish without a trace, their bodies never found. The air grows cold where El Cucuy treads, the silence broken only by the sound of distant, haunting footsteps. Beware, for if you hear the wind howl at night, and if the shadows seem to move with a life of their own, El Cucuy might be closer than you think, waiting, watching, and hungry. In the 1950s, a haunting image began to spread across homes in Europe and beyond. A painting that seemed innocent at first, but carried with it an unspeakable curse. It was called The Crying Boy, a portrait of a tear-streaked child with eyes that appeared too knowing, too sorrowful, painted by Giovanni Bragolin, a pseudonym for the Italian artist Bruno Amadio. The image was mass-produced and hung in countless homes, unwittingly marking them with a dark and sinister fate. People who hung the crying boy on their walls soon began to the stories were too widespread to dismiss as coincidence. One family reported their house burning down despite the flames being miraculously contained in every room except the one with the crying boy on the wall. The painting remained untouched, its eyes still weeping, its expression as empty as death itself. Over time, the legend of the cursed painting grew, and so did the fear. People claimed that if you owned the crying boy, you were doomed to suffer tragedy. It was said that the boy in the painting was no ordinary child, but the spirit of a soul lost to the flames, forever bound to seek revenge on those who dared to possess his image. In the years that followed, the crying boy was quietly removed from homes, burned or hidden away, but the legend remains. Some say that if you find one of the paintings today, you should never look into the child's eyes, for if you do, the curse will follow you, bringing death and destruction, an unrelenting reminder that the boy's tears are never shed in vain.
There is a small town tucked away in a forgotten corner of the countryside where something strange happened every morning at precisely 5 a.m. The townspeople called it the baby train. It was said that each day, without fail, a train would pass through, its whistle echoing through the empty streets, a sound that tore through sleep and dreams, leaving only the darkness before dawn. The whistle had an eerie quality, something that seemed to linger in the air long after the train was gone. It was almost like a voice, calling out to those still trapped in the haze of sleep, urging them to do something, anything, to fill the empty, unsettling hour. Couples would wake, eyes half open, feeling a compulsion they couldn't quite place. It was too early to start the day, too late to drift back into peaceful slumber. In that strange, suspended time, they turned to each other, as if possessed by some unseen force. Months passed, and soon the town found itself in the midst of a baby boom, a surge of infants born at almost exactly the same time. But there was something peculiar about the children. They were quiet, too quiet, their eyes wide and unblinking, as if they had brought something back with them from the foggy mornings when they were conceived. They grew quickly, their laughter echoing the train's whistle, high-pitched and almost unnatural, as if mocking the very people who had brought them into the world. The train still comes every morning at 5 a.m., and though the town has changed, the legend persists. The older residents warn newcomers, when you hear the whistle, stay in bed. Don't move, don't look out the window, and above all, don't answer the call. Because those born of the baby train are not quite like other children, and perhaps it's best not to add to their numbers.
In the mist-shrouded town of Cannon Beach, where the coastal fog blankets the landscape, locals share a chilling tale of the Bandage Man. They say he was once a logger, a man hardened by years of grueling labour, but fate twisted his life in a nightmarish direction when a brutal accident at the sawmill left him shredded, his body mangled by spinning blades, flesh torn and bones splintered. The legend tells of his agonising screams that echoed long after the sawdust settled, his body cloaked in blood-soaked bandages, clinging to life before death finally claimed him. Yet death did not bring him peace. No, it bound him to the land, cursed to wander the coastal roads and woods, an undying shadow of suffering and rage. Locals claim that the Bandage Man haunts the old logging roads, reeking of decay and vengeance, waiting to unleash his fury on unsuspecting travellers who dare cross his path. On a cold, moonless night, two teenagers named Lisa and Mark drove up to a secluded lookout on the cliff, their laughter carrying through the still night. They parked, content with each other's company and the eerie quiet surrounding them. But as they leaned in close, the car suddenly shook, as if struck by an unseen force. Startled, Mark scanned the darkness, his pulse quickening. Nothing but fog and shadow met his gaze. Then came a stench, the foul, sickly odour of rotting flesh and mould. It seeped into the car like an omen. Suddenly, from the corner of her eye, Lisa spotted a movement. A figure lumbering toward them, wrapped head to toe in filthy, blood-streaked bandages, his form twitching with unnatural jerks. His eyes glowed faintly beneath the layers, glinting with a twisted fury as he dragged his broken body closer, closer. Mark slammed the car into reverse, his hands trembling on the wheel. The Bandage Man reached the vehicle, clawing at the doors with cracked, bloodied fingers, smearing the glass with sticky red streaks. His muffled grunts turned to frenzied snarls as he pounded, each strike heavier, filled with unspeakable malice. His bandages hung loose, revealing glimpses of torn flesh and exposed bone beneath. Mark and Lisa's screams filled the car as he threw the vehicle into drive, tyres squealing as they sped down the winding road. But the Bandage Man didn't relent. He clung to the bumper, his bandaged face pressed against the rear window, eyes locked with theirs, as if daring them to look away. His grip grew stronger.
skidded to a halt. They waited, breath held, but the bandage man had vanished, his rotting scent lingering like a ghostly reminder. They dared not speak as they drove back to town, only to realise later that the windows bore streaks of dried blood and faint, hand-shaped smears. The townsfolk say that if you're driving alone on foggy nights and catch a whiff of that deathly odour, it means the bandage man is near, and he won't stop until he claws his way into the car, claiming anyone unfortunate enough to cross his path, dragging them into his endless nightmare of pain and rage, bound forever by his bandages of blood. In the chilling winter of 1953, the quiet town of Bladenboro, North Carolina, was gripped by fear. It started with a single grisly discovery. A family dog, its body drained of blood, left lifeless on the icy ground. The town whispered of a shadow in the woods, a monstrous creature with eyes that gleamed in the dark and fangs sharp enough to tear flesh like paper. They called it the Beast of Bladenboro, or more hauntingly, the Vampire Beast. Each night, the body count rose. Livestock and pets were found slaughtered, their corpses mangled, throats punctured by jagged teeth. The beast struck with silent, brutal efficiency, leaving trails of blood-soaked snow, yet no paw prints or clues. Locals reported glimpses of a hulking, cat-like creature, its coat a menacing shade that seemed to meld with the shadows. Its movements were swift and unnaturally smooth, stalking its prey with the calculated precision of a seasoned predator. Panic spread, and townsfolk gathered rifles and flashlights, forming hunting parties to track the monster. But the beast seemed to toy with them, vanishing like a spectre before they could close in. At night, they heard the eerie, guttural growls echoing from the woods, chilling them to the bone. desolate, windswept expanse of Bodmin Moor in Cornwall, a chilling legend stalks the night. The beast of Bodmin Moor. This spectral creature, resembling a panther or leopard, has haunted the moorlands since 1978, leaving a trail of terror and grisly evidence in its wake. It began with whispers of a shadowy figure lurking near the livestock, eyes like embers piercing the darkness. Farmers awoke to a nightmare of mutilated sheep and cattle, their bodies torn apart by something with terrifying strength and unrelenting savagery. The locals spoke of massive, feline-like paw prints left imprinted in the damp earth, too large for any known cat and too menacing to ignore. The beast of Bodmin Moor, as it became known, moved with eerie silence, slipping through the mist and granite tors like a ghost, stalking unseen yet ever present. Its black coat blended seamlessly with the night, making it nothing more than a flicker of movement in the moonlight. A glimpse, a shiver, then gone. Those unfortunate enough to encounter it described a low, guttural growl echoing through the stillness, a sound that lingered long after the beast had vanished into the shadows. Hunters and cryptid enthusiasts scoured the moor, hoping to glimpse the phantom cat, but the beast eluded them all, leaving only fleeting traces, a tuft of dark fur, claw marks in the trees, the overpowering stench of something primal. Some believe the beast of Bodmin Moor is still there, prowling, watching, a creature of legend and nightmare. And on misty nights, when the fog settles thick over the moor, the locals swear they can still hear it. A heavy, predatory silence, waiting just out of sight. On the bleak and brooding moors of Exmoor, a sinister legend prowls under the cover of fog. The beast of Exmoor. This shadowy creature, said to be a massive panther-like cat, has haunted Devon and Somerset for decades, stalking the hillsides with predatory stealth and leaving a haunting sense of dread among those who dare to wander alone. The sightings began with strange, gutted livestock, sheep and cattle left torn and bloodied in the fields, their bodies shredded as if by claws, both powerful and merciless. Farmers spoke in hushed voices of a creature with pitch-black fur and glowing amber eyes, a beast whose presence seemed to darken even the coldest nights. With the agility of a ghost, the beast slipped in and out of the shadows, its massive form almost invisible against the wild, rugged landscape. The few who glimpsed it reported an eerie silence, a predatory stillness that filled the air just before they spotted a flicker of movement, a sleek shadow stalking through the mist. The beast's piercing gaze and sleek, muscular form struck terror into anyone unfortunate enough to catch sight of it. Hunters and locals formed search parties, eager to rid Exmoor of its phantom predator. They scoured the moors, rifles in hand, yet the creature always evaded capture, leaving only clawed imprints in the damp earth and lingering, blood-curdling growls in the distance. Today, the legend of the beast of Exmoor endures.
when the fog rolls thick over the moors and the wind whispers through the gnarled trees, locals warn to keep close to the path and avoid the dark, lest they become prey to the elusive, unyielding shadow known only as the beast.